Hello everyone, welcome to week 3 core where we're going to be doing the ground and the player. So the ground is going to be what's going to be above this back sprite, and it's going to be the platform that the player is going to be using in order to jump from platform to platform in order to play the game. So what we're going to go ahead and do is, since it's going to use a lot of the code that we already have on the back sprite, we're going to hover over the back sprite, we're going to go ahead and duplicate it. And we're going to go ahead and call this ground. Once we're done, we're going to go ahead and go inside of the costumes tab. And we're going to go ahead and delete what we have here. So with our select tool, we're going to click on delete. Now we're going to have 3 different types of grounds that we're going to go ahead and play around with in order to make. So I'm going to go ahead and use my square tool. I'm going to remove the outline, and I'm going to go ahead and pick the color that I want to use. Since my theme is a little bit of a park, I'm going to go ahead and try to make this kind of like a floating ground kind of thing. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm just going to make a ground just across. Once I'm happy with it, I can go ahead and use the reshape tool to play around with it. I'm going to leave the top flat since I want my player to be able to run across it. So that means for everyone else, the top has to be flat. So other than this, I'm just going to go ahead and just play around with this shape a little bit, kind of make it look like a floating piece of land. You can also play around with the color as well. So you can see that I'm playing around with it. I'm going to use now my line tool, and this is going to be very important. The color that I'm going to use at the top has to be the same for all the other ones that I'm making. The reason why is because we're going to use this for the code later on. So I'm just going to go ahead and pick a green. Make sure that the color that you're using is a solid color. You don't want any gradients for this one. So I'm just going to go ahead and look for the green that I want to use. I'm going to go ahead and make the thickness just a little bit bigger, so maybe a 21. And then I'm just going to go ahead and make a line across the top. Okay. Now that I'm happy with this, I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this. And I'm going to make a different version. And I want to go ahead and have 3 different types. So I'm going to duplicate this again, so I have 3 of them. And I'm going to go ahead and play around with it. And then maybe I'll go ahead and make bottom pieces pointed instead. And let's say for this one, I'll just make it a little bit flatter at the top, at the bottom instead. Okay. I can do other things like add moss to the bottom, kind of like how we did the paddle during our previous game where we kept the top regular, flat, nothing on there, but the bottom is the part that we're really decorating and adding whatever we want. You can go ahead and do this. So you guys can go ahead and take your time and make sure that you have 3 different costumes in order to do this, and then we're going to go ahead and update the code.